Hello everyone, this is Anna from our Paper Paradise, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a peacock feather. Now, yours will not look like this one because I have learned a few things when I was making this one that I think should not be repeated, such as you will notice the stem of the feather is brown, which I thought it was more realistic, but in the end it doesn't look as nice. I don't like the look of it, so I substituted it for a teal color in your instructions. Also, you will notice the bend of this is a lot more pronounced than the one you have on your kit. That was also a mistake I made. As you can see here, I was getting in trouble to get those quills nicely done. So, even after doing this for 7 years now, it's still a interactive process of trying things out and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. And every time I'm creating a class for you, I go through this process. In this one, I decided to keep the bad example so you can see it's not a linear process of I come up with things and it just comes out right. So don't be afraid to play with your paper and test things out. That's how you learn, and that's how you create beautiful things. Now we are going to start creating your feather, and we're going to start by making the center of the feather. For that, we are going to use the strip package that has several colors in it. We are going to start with the purple. To start quilling, we are going to take the strip. The tool has a slot in there. We're going to place the strip in the slot and bring it to the end of the strip like that. Once it's there, you're going to start rolling the strip. You can roll this away from you, which is what I'm going to do, or towards you. Whichever feels better to you, it doesn't matter in the end. So I'm going to start away from me, and I'm just going to roll it. See how my fingers are holding the strip? I'm not pulling on it. I'm just letting it slide between my fingers. It's just, they're just guiding it. And you don't want to put too much tension on that. And tension is holding it too tight. Because once you take it, so I reach the end of the strip. This is a tight coil, but we're going to take it out of the quilling tool. And now we are going to use the template, place this one on top and let it expand. So I'm using my fingers to feel if it has expanded to the same size. If there's no gap there, they are the same size. As I was saying, if you do this coil too tight, you will have trouble opening to the size you want. So keep it light. That way you won't have any issues when you're creating the loose coil. So once you have it at the size, you're just going to put a little bit of glue on this tab here and glue it shut. You can always wipe the excessive glue. And to get it off your fingers, you just rub your fingers together. It comes right off. Okay. So you have the first creation there. If you notice right here, we do not have a circle though. So to shape this into this form, we just hold it like this and we kind of push our thumbs up, and with our pointer fingers kind of guide the shape to create a half moon kind of shape. And you can keep pressing and shaping until you have what you are looking for. First piece completed. Next, we are going to move to the blue half strip. This is shorter than the others. So you're going to take this one, start the same way, slide your tool, your strip into the tool, curl it all the way to the end. For this one, we are going to use the smaller template. And we're just going to place it on top and let it open up. Glue the tab. This one you can see it kind of fits in the curve of that one. How do we achieve this? Same kind of process, but instead of pushing your thumbs up, now your thumbs are going to guide the shape and your index fingers are going to push down. Notice out there's a gap between the fingers. That's where the little bump is going to be. And then you just push down like so. So you see, oops, there's a little bump in the middle. My goodness, it's so tiny. And it kind of fits in there. Now this doesn't have to be super perfect. We are going to glue these two together. And now we are going to take the blue strip. Make sure you don't confuse the strips you're using. This one is the same color as the tiny one we just used. And what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it around the two pieces we just created. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the side here. That will start it off. And then I'm just gonna, oops, make sure it sticks before you start rolling it, or what just happened to me will happen to you. So you can also, for extra security, just line the strip with glue and then just roll it with your fingers. So you can see you want to more or less circle in there. So that's why I'm kind of squishing it one side or the other just to get that shape going. All right, you have the center. Next step, we are going to be making the yellow coil there. Take one of the yellow strips, doesn't matter which one. Slide it into the tool and start rolling again. The initial process is always the same. Gonna let it expand to the size of the big template. Some glue there. I don't know if you noticed, but this one is slightly different than the purple one. It's more pointy at the top. The process of shaping it, it's the same. But with the purple one, we kept our index fingers kind of close together there. And with this one, we're going to bring them to the side more. So that should fit nicely up there. We are going to glue those two together. Watch out when you're gluing to make sure this yellow one is not loop-sided. Keep it more or less straight, aligned with the other ones. And you can always keep shaping it as you are gluing it, so it fits the other ones good. So now we're gonna wrap the rest of the yellow strips around all of this. And we can start by putting some glue. There's a seam where the other one ended. We can put some glue over there. Bring this strip right against that seam. And if you have the seam elsewhere, you don't have to do this. It's just so I don't end up with a gap in there. So I try to match it up as best as I can. If the seam was somewhere else in the shape, then you just glue it, start on one side and glue it all around. Okay, line of glue on the strip. And wrap it with your fingers. Keeping your fingers like this will assure that the strip you're gluing down is lined up with the shape that's under. So try to do that as you roll with the other hand. Now the seam is there. I'm going to put some more glue next to it, and I'm going to bring the other yellow strip against that. All right, now we're just continuing to do the same with the strips that are left over. I'm going to start with the red, then the green, then the teal strip. And we're just going to wrap them around. The red, I'm going to start on like the middle here, so when it wraps around, it has 2 turns up top. That's just a personal preference. You don't have to do that, but that's what I'm gonna do. And notice that now I'm not gluing it right next to that, so you can change things around as you wish. Now I'm going back to gluing it to the edge there, just cause. The red is done. Now we're going to do the green. By the way, as you are doing this, keep your backing paper away. We don't want any glue or anything else to fall on it. So I chose the colors for this project based a little bit on the peacock colors and also a little bit on my personal preferences. I love blue and teal, so I really want the majority of this project to be in those colors. But you are not stuck to that whatsoever. So if you notice the peacock colors, they have sort of a iridescent metallic sheen to them. And there are quilling strips that have that metallic sheen to them. So if you want to substitute some of these colors, like the yellow, you want to put like a shimmery copper in there, you can use the measurements that are on the instruction sheet. Like I say here, the yellow strips are 11 by 1/4 inch, and you just cut 3 strips of copper to that size and do it instead of the yellow. So that's pretty easy, and I totally recommend you experiment and have fun with that. Even the sides of the feather, you can have the strips I gave you and then add some shimmery metallic bits in there. I will tell you though, usually those strips are harder to glue together, so you have to hold them for longer to make sure they are sticking. We have the center of the feather done. We are going to take that blue strip that was floating around in your pack. We are going to fold it in half, and we're just going to put some glue on half of it and then shut it close. Make sure the sides are aligned. I'm gonna let this dry a little bit. Now you can bring your background paper out. It should be 6 by 9. And we are gonna place this there, but as you can see, I can see the pencil marks there. So I might want to shape this a little differently than it is, so it fits the shape I have there a little better. And it's not easy because there's a lot of paper keeping this shape, but you can in fact do it and get closer to that shape. If there's marks showing, you can always go in with an eraser and remove them, but I wouldn't worry too much in this case, because as you can see, we are going to fill the sides with more strips, so they will end up being covered regardless. So I am pretty much done with the shape, so I can now confidently glue it down in there. I always tell my students, don't glue anything down until you are certain that is what you want. You'll still make mistakes that way, but like I did here, because I ended up gluing stuff that I didn't like in the end, but it will save you some heartache. So now we take the strip we folded in half and glued, and that's going to be the body of the feather. To give it this curl that we see here, we are going to use your quilling tool and just run it through the strip like we were curling ribbon. As you can see, it gives it a nice little curl there. And if it's curling too much, you just do it on the other side and the curl will revert. Let's see, what do we have here? Okay, so a little less on this side, and you can play with this ad nauseum. And it doesn't have to line up precisely. I just give it a little curve to give it a little movement, but you don't want too much curve, so, or you'll run into issues like this here. But it doesn't have to line up perfectly with the line I had there. Again, we're gonna put strips coming out of it, so the lines will not show. However, you can also erase them if you want. As you can see, this is coming all the way down to the edge of the paper, which we don't want. So once I have the alignment I like, I'm gonna see where the strip should end, more or less. You can make it a little longer, a little shorter, it's up to you. But I'm gonna hold it there, and with the scissors I'm just gonna snip that end. And I don't know if you can notice, but it's a little skewed, so I'm just gonna trim it straight. Okay, and that's the body of the feather. Now we are going to start gluing strips on their edges, which is a tricky technique. There are several ways to do this. Two of the ones I will teach you are, you either take your strip and you lay a layer of glue on the edge of the strip. This is where these bottles come in handy, but if you don't have one, you just place some glue on a container and then take a toothpick and use that to place the glue on here. The second thing that you can do is place your glue on the paper. So you basically draw with glue and then you try to line your strips with that line of glue. For this guy in particular, I'm going to place the glue on my strip here because this is the shape I want, and I'm not particularly following this shape here, so that will be easier on me than drawing with the glue and then trying to fit the shape. You don't need tons of glue for this. Okay, I'm going to start placing it up on top, and I bring that part down slowly towards the bottom, and then I adjust the bottom there. Now, as you can see, I'm not sure if you can see, but there are droplets of glue along the edge of the feather. I usually just go in with my finger and run it along that to remove any extra glue. But you can use the toothpick, you can use a Q-tip to just clean up a little bit in there. You can use the tweezers also and then clean them up. That's entirely up to you. All right, so now that we have this, we are going to get creative. If you notice, there's no more guidelines to how the things should look. The only sort of help you get on that is this image of a peacock feather. And so you get to experiment a little and make it your own in this sense. A couple of things you need to remember when doing this. The length of the feather pieces is going to be shorter as you move down the stem of the feather. So for example, you can start using the full length of these guys to go around and do swirly things here. And then as you get to here, you probably want to cut them in half and use each half in a different way. As you can see here, they're not, by the time I got to the end, I wasn't happy with this, so it's kind of messy on here. But you can really play with that to make it pretty. The other thing you probably want to do is kind of shuffle these around and not pay much attention to what color you're picking up, because you want an even distribution. And if you're looking at it and going like, oh, I need a certain color now, you will tend to make it too symmetrical and too neat, and that's just not how nature works. So just randomly pick one and try and place it. Techniques for shaping these and placing them. I've already shown you a technique, which was curling the strip before you place it. You can curl it one way and then the other like that. And just put a little bit. For the ones around this shape, we can put the glue directly on the shape and then just place the strip there. Or you can place the glue along the edge of this strip and then glue it in place. Another technique that you can use is curl up the edge of the strip a little. And you can use the body of the tool or the metal part if you want more pronounced curls there. So you can do that. And let's see. And this is just a matter of playing around with things too. So you'll start, I would not glue anything down until you have a few down. You'll start placing them. You'll start seeing what things look like. And even though they're not like perfectly lined up or anything, you can always have an idea if they look good there or not. And that's how we are going to make this feather. Is just by placing the strips, see how they look. And you can see how that is now very useful to have tweezers that can go in there. So once you have a distribution that you like, you are just going to go in there, take your strip, place some glue on it, and bring it back in where it was. Start gluing everything down. You might want to, once you have everything lined up, you might want to come with your phone, take a photo of it, and then reference it as you are gluing things down, so it's easier. Say that I topple something and I need to go in, oh, where was this? I'll go to the reference photo and just place it where it is. So this strip goes and does a wave pattern. If I decide not to want this wave pattern, I can just go in with my shaping tool and now it's just a curve. And I can place it in here. with a swirly there and change the whole dynamic of that particular swirl. And that's the thing with this. You cannot be afraid to play with your work. You need to be willing to modify stuff if it doesn't work out as you try it out. And let's say that you have done all the strips, and in the end you look at it and are like, okay, I could use something else in here because there's a big empty space there. You can always go back and find the little pieces you cut off and try and put one in there and see what happens. So from down here, we are going to be using the half strips, but in between here and here, you're going to start snipping little pieces of feather as you go down. So it won't be half of the strip, but it will be a little tiny little bit off, and then a little more, and then a little more until it's half. Just so you remember that as you are going down, and don't do what I did here. I'm not sure if you can see, but there's spots where I glued things down and then I had to cut them back, and of course that ruined my design because now there's weird spots there and I can't put that on a painting, on a wall hanging. Basically, on the side that you're gluing to the center of the feather, you always want to have this slight curl, just because that's how the feathers work. If you see here, they tend to merge into that like that, so that helps immensely in giving it a sense of reality. As you can see, this is a work in patience. You go back and forth, you move things around, you look and see what can you put in a little space that will make it a little better, if this little piece will fit in there. It does. And you can continue back and forth like this until you are out of paper, or you're satisfied with your design, or you're tired of doing it and you're just, okay, I'm done with this now. So it's a matter of patience, really. And as you can see, it has the shape. It goes from a thinner stem down here, and it goes out, out, out until we enter the center of the feather. I try to not do the same color over and over again. I try to not do the same shape over and over again, to mix and match things here and there. I would probably cut a little more from these strips over here to make it a little narrower, but I would have to step back, and that's something that you might want to do as well, is just leave it somewhere safe where it's not going to get jostled or anything for the night, and then come back to it the next day and see, okay, do I still like how this looks? Can I move anything around? Can I add anything to it? And then if you're happy with it, you can go in and start gluing stuff. As you saw me, every time I put something in, I jostled things around. So these tweezers, or any kind of tweezer really, is really useful to get your strips where they need to be without messing too much with the stuff around them. They will also be useful to you when you start gluing things in. So I advise you to start at the top and move down in the gluing. And as you're gluing down these strips here, you want to pull them up. You start by the ones really close to the center there, but I just grabbed whatever right now. You want to put a line of glue on the edge of the strip like we talked about, and also we're going to put a little bit of glue on the inside here, because that's going to press against the center there. So when you put it down, these ones would already be glued down, and you just have to deal with the other one coming in, and you want to press that place where you put the glue until it's stuck. So you want to have something that you can do that with. A toothpick would do too. It's just better than your fingers, because sometimes the fingers can't fit in those tight spaces. So once you have that, you can also use the tweezers on the other side to make sure it's gluing down where you want it. Again, once you have the design you like, take a photo of it with your phone, and then when you're assembling it, you just refer to that photo to make sure you always get that right. And that is it about this class. There is nothing else I can teach you. I'm not going to sit here and bore you with the tedious process of gluing everything down. You just take it easy, one step at a time. Don't get frustrated if things get out of place. That's why you took a photo, to have as a reference. And just go one step at a time. If you feel the need to change things as you're gluing down, do it. There's no wrong way to do this. So I hope you like this class. Do share your results with me. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Message me on my page. Post in the comments of this video. I will gladly answer any questions you have. If you need a little more guidance, that's fine too. And thank you for joining me. Take care.